This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Rooker, it's a 5 on deep center. Robert going back at the track. He will turn
and 29 other MLB clubs.
Garcia. Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season. With an absolute to left field. It's Glaber Day. And like a good Glaber, Torres is there.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe. From humidors to Stuff Plus to walk-off dingers, we have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
What is happening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live as the Athletics are back in San Diego, round 2 of this 3-game fight between the Athletics and the Padres. But we have so much to get into today. A major question, not easy to answer, and I don't know if there's a total right answer. I'm going to ask everybody today. Plus, we're going to have our A's historian, Dave Feldman, on, and we are going to talk about the big three. We're going to carry it over from Sunday. By the way, you're going to hear from Barry Zito today?
Yes.
We're going to hear from Barry Zito?
Yeah, it was his video from Sunday since he wasn't able to be there.
I like it.
It's about a 2-minute video thanking fans, and it's talking about his favorite highlight or memories at the Coliseum, personal and team. So,
yeah, I was thinking about it because David Feldman, our A's historian, is going to come up here at the bottom of the hour, and we're going to do a tribute to the big three as we love to do our historical look at what's happened with the Athletics organization. We are going to have our top 10. We love doing our top 10s. I thought about this Sunday driving up to work when I thought, content right now for us, not only doing this live on the show, but it's big that we do some really good stuff. It's always big that we do good stuff, but really good stuff for the summer because we know in the summertime how many people are just, you're mowing the lawn, you're barbecuing, you're sitting by the pool, you're on a long road trip. People put on A's Cast, as the great Bobby Crosby once did. Listen to A's Cast all the way from Arizona to Texas. So I thought, man, this would be great to run through the summer, a top 10 moments of the big three. And the big three mean a lot to so many of our A's fans because you weren't there for the 70s. I wasn't. You weren't. I remember the 80s. That's my time, the late 80s, when I was in high school. And then for a lot of you, the big three brought the passion of the A's back after a real lull in the late 90s. Billy Beane takes over in 97. Next thing you know, the A's start getting competitive. Giambi becomes a star, Tejada and the boys, and then you have the big three. And one thing to really talk about today when we're with David Feldman, talking about the big three, and it goes along with what we say about Pedro Martinez. One of the things that makes Pedro Martinez so great when you look at his numbers, it's the fact that Pedro Martinez pitched in the steroid era and had such dominant numbers in the steroid era. Not to say that Stu and the boys didn't pitch in the steroid era because we knew guys were on steroids, including his teammates. But it wasn't it was wide open. Everybody's on it. Everybody knows about it in the game. The media is trying to act like how we don't see it. We don't see it. This isn't real. But the big three pitched when guys were juicing. Performance-enhancing drugs came in a lot of different ways, right? You had anabolic steroids. You had testosterone. You had human growth hormones. You had a lot of different things. Shooty Babbitt and I, over the weekend, we're talking about an old Chronicle Live show that he did with Victor Conti. And Victor Conti was the mad scientist of everything, right? The Balco. There was a lot of different ways guys were cheating back in the day. And so the pitchers, and to be fair, a lot of pitchers in that era were on it too. But whether you were on it too or not, pitching to those monsters at home plate was a whole different ballgame. It was hard. Trying to sneak fastballs by guys like Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and Rafael Palmeira, on and on and on and on. So the big three, you look at their numbers during that time, pretty cool. So we got that. What else we got going today, Commander? How are you?
I'm great. Johnny D today with a Hot Takes Tuesday.
I have a very sad hot take today. I think it's going to hurt you and the Karate Kid Ray. There might be some tears shed on this show.
I think I know where you might be going, but
yeah,
we'll save
I think
it.
you might.
We'll
I
save
think
it.
you know where I'm going. It's sad. It's going to be sad for you guys, and I don't want to do it.
Well, I told you what mine was going to be, but I changed it because I wanted to keep it baseball related. But my original one was going to be after we found out today that banned from the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, our good friend Joey Chestnut.
Because he went vegan?
Because he's endorsing a vegan, yeah. So
this is an American controversy. You're going to take the greatest competitive eater of all time. I mean, you can debate, is there any guy in a sport, maybe Wayne Gretzky, who you can completely say, no question, he is the greatest of all time, that nobody else is in the debate other than Wayne Gretzky?
Probably not.
Football, you can't do it because you have both sides of the ball. I will argue Lawrence Taylor is the greatest player of all time. I can make a legit argument Lawrence Taylor is the greatest player of all time. But you got Brady, you got all these guys. Baseball, my God, there's so many different eras. It's so hard to do. Basketball, a lot of people go Jordan, but you start looking at other players, Kareem. I mean, there's no debate in hockey, right?
No, I think it's Gretzky. It's Gretzky. It's not close.
I mean, tennis.
Gordie Howe's pretty good, but he's not Gretzky.
Tennis, you can't do it. Golf, you can't do it. You got Nicklaus, you got Woods. Competitive eating, there's no question. Jaws. San Jose State, by the way. Bay Area kid. Is this where the Bay Area can? If there is one thing that the Bay Area, well, I guess if there's three things the Bay Area can unite on in sports: Warriors, Sharks, and Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, I mean, would you say that he's the greatest champion from San Jose State?
No, the judo team's won like 30.
That's a team. I'm talking about an individual. Greatest champion.
Oh, there's no question.
Or would you say, so going against Bill Walsh, huh?
I mean, no question.
I mean, he's won how many Nathan's hot dog eating? Like 16 or 17?
He's the greatest competitive eater in the history of the world.
So my take was going to be...
He's got more yellow belts than mustard belts than anybody in the history of...
Move over Ric Flair. My hot take was going to be why Joey Chestnut being banned is good for competitive eating.
I will not stand for that. Okay, so that hot takes. What else we got?
And then we have Bill Moriarty from Athletics Farm to update us on the A's farm system.
You know what? I'm going to be real honest with you. There's only one person I want to talk about today, and he is absolutely dominating. I told you when we drafted him. He came up to our table. I'm looking at him, and it was bizarre. It was like a comic book. He has the body of a linebacker at 18 years old. I mean, neck, shoulders, biceps. He looked like a man-child, but he looked like he was 12 years old. You know, that in the comic books, they'll have that baby-faced guy who's a monster. That's what Henry Bolte looked like to us. And I'm like, how is this kid 18? He's one of the most physically developed 18-year-olds I've ever seen. He didn't look like a baseball player. And I went, this kid. And we have just watched Henry Bolte get better and better and better. Jesse Goldberg-Strassler's done a great job, play-by-play man for the Lansing Lugnuts, sending us all of his play-by-play. And I try and use all these cuts during my fifth inning hit during the broadcast. And he sent some numbers over yesterday, if I can find them real quick. But I'm just letting you know, and Bill better know, that when we talk today with about the farm system, a lot is going to be about Henry Bolte, because you guys can sell me on all these different players. Henry Bolte, my God, is putting up numbers. He's the second-round pick out of Palo Alto High, a Bay Area kid. And it's like, when do you really start thinking about, I don't want to say bringing him up too early. I got to find these numbers. Okay, here he is. He is now first in the Midwest League in runs scored, total bases, triples, doubles. The league, runs, total bases, triples, and doubles. He's second in the league in hits, RBIs, and extra base hits. Henry Bolte. Denzel Clark, we've heard about what a great athlete he is. I don't know if Shooty Babbitt loves him that much that he's seen him. You're looking at guys that are the future for the A's because that's what matters. We want to win now, but the future matters. Just you text that Moriarty guy that we're talking Henry Bolte.
Well, both articles that Bill sent over to me from that he's posted on the Athletics Farm, both have Henry Bolte mentioned in there for stat leaders and how well he's doing. So I'm
He's
sure
dominating.
Sure, he knows Bolte's going to be discussed.
He's dominating, right? Can you imagine the minute you put you put Henry Bolte in arena ball in Vegas?
Well,
if fly balls, every fly ball he hits is going to be a home run.
If anyone can get the best out of him, that's our good friend and the greatest manager in the history of Las Vegas baseball.
You give Fran Reardon Henry Bolte, he becomes Barry Bonds. Super Barry Bonds, the greatest player of all. Barry Bonds, the greatest player of all time. I hate to tell everybody. I know Barry Bonds is the best player of all time.
It's pretty good.
Not taking anything from Ruth and I think those guys played so long ago. You got to look at them differently in our modern day game, right? And there's a question I have to ask that I think is I've reworded a question. There's a question going around because there's some stuff happening in baseball right now. Shortstops are performing offensively better than they've ever have before. How about that? The shortstop position offensively is the best it's ever been in Major League Baseball. Like all these years where we've said, put the best athlete at shortstop, and then he ends up moving, right? Moving to third, moving to center. They're staying at short, and they're absolutely slaying it. Weighted runs created plus among positions in 2024, ranking it in the divisional era since 1969. Shortstop is first right now. If you go through all these teams in baseball and you look at everybody's shortstops, everybody's hitting, including our own. Happy birthday to the Shoe. Max Schuemann today is 27 years old. Last 9 games, he's hitting .310. Max Schuemann, since I have Max, I went and checked it today, Baseball Reference. Since Max Schuemann took over on May 8th, officially at shortstop, he's played every game since, played every inning, except one game, Letmus Diaz filled in. He's hitting .279. Everybody else you brought up was hitting well under 200. He's hitting .279. Max Schuemann has held his own. He is the A's shortstop until further notice. And happy birthday to the Shoe. He's 27 years old.
To steal from Johnny D, only the second player ever born in Kalamazoo to play shortstop at Yankee Stadium.
Who's the other?
Do we really need to go through Yankeeography?
Some hack.
That guy that has a dating diamond that's no one will ever top. Derek Jeter.
You mean the guy with the bad defensive run saved?
Oh, wow. You went there. I didn't say
I
you went there.
I don't. You guys all say
what's his DRS? Huh?
Yeah, his outs above
OAA.
His outs above average isn't good. I wouldn't even play Jeter. He'd be my utility guy.
I wouldn't even put him in late inning situations.
Why would you play him? I mean, to ask all the data people. Jeter wasn't any good.
He would be. I would take him out late in games when the game's on the line because he couldn't play shortstop.
Can you imagine? Hey, no, Jeets, come on. It's 8th inning. Hey, it's 8th inning. Yeah, Jeets, come on in. You're not playing.
We're going to send in, no offense to the guy, Pete Cosma going and you're going to go play short, and Jeter, you're out.
Oh,
thanks for the 3 hits, but we don't need you anymore.
Can you imagine? A-Rod, move over. You're playing short.
Oh, boy.
Remind me, we got to get it. The pitching data on bodies being used, human beings being used in baseball to pitch, it's insane. I'm going to blow Vince Cotronio's mind. Do I have Vince? Who do I have leading off today on the pregame?
Johnny D.
I hope it's Vince. I'm going to blow his mind. I'm going to blow everybody's mind. I don't think the average fan has any idea how many people are pitching. Why would you think about it? Like you turn on the television, guys are pitching. Guy comes out, starts the game, bunch of guys come in from the bullpen. You don't really think about the totality of the numbers of human beings that are playing Major League. We got to 20,000. It took a long time to get to 20,000 players, different players to play in Major League Baseball. We're going to get to 40,000 like that. We're on pace. Wrap your arms. Let's all try and wrap our arms around this right now. We're on pace to use over 1,000 pitchers in Major League Baseball this year. I thought it was going to be in the 900s. It's over 1,000. Remember, we all start with 13. We've given you 13. 13 times 30 is?
390.
So we start with 390?
Yeah, 390.
We start with 390, and we're going to end with over 1,000. So that means more than 2/3 of the pitchers that are going to pitch in Major League Baseball this year spent time in the minor leagues. So the old narrative that our longtime broadcasters and everything, hey, this is the big leagues. Hey, you're down in the big leagues. Well, guess what? 2/3 of your pitchers pitched in the minor leagues at some point this year. So that whole you're in the big leagues now, might remain true in some instances, but a lot of guys you're facing, they were a Chihuahua or an Aviator or a Space Cowboy at some point this year.
Well, some teams in our division, like the Angels, just call guys out from AA, so they don't even. We're have to go down a league down.
Yeah, you're facing guys who are. You're a sod poodle. Are the sod poodles AA?
I think so.
The only reason why I know Road Trip Mike was recently. By the way, you know who's hanging out with Road Trip Mike yesterday in beautiful San Diego?
Bobby Crosby's mother. I'd listen to the post game.
Why you spoil everything? Bobby Crosby's mom.
I want you to know I'm a P1. That's why it is AA.
Bobby Crosby's mom was hanging out with Road Trip Mike yesterday in San Diego. So blew me away in the post game show last night. So I texted during the show the great Bobby Crosby and said, couldn't wait to tell his mom he loves it. Bobby Crosby's mom's getting big time because of Road Trip Mike now. Unbelievable. The people he took like 13 pictures of. He's walking around the stadium because everybody's watching A's Cast and everybody's watching the games, and we keep highlighting him, and next thing you know, everybody's taking pictures with him.
He called me when he was in Atlanta, and I haven't seen him wear it yet. I actually haven't checked back with him, but he told me that he was getting a hat made with the A's Cast logo on it.
Yeah. Rep, baby, rep. By the way, I'm not in the pitchers meetings today with Scott Emerson and the pitchers. JP Sears on the mound today. Randy Vásquez will be going for the Padres. Where is there a connection between Sears and Vásquez? Vásquez and Sears. The two pitchers today, one's an A, one's a Padre. Where do the A's and the Friars, the Elephant and the Franciscan Priest, where do they, how does this thing all tie together?
Well, I'm gonna take a wild guess, say they weren't both teammates at the Citadel. So
that is factual.
Okay, I don't think Vásquez was.
That's your best one today.
I don't think he was a Mariner like JP. So I'm gonna go. They were both Yankees.
They were both Yankees.
Were they teammates together with the Yankees?
No, but they both played AA the same year. Vásquez and Sears pitched for the AA team in Somerset in 2021, but their time there did not overlap. So they were on the same team, but not there at the same time. They were never teammates. Now, I'm assuming they know each other from spring training. They're probably in the same groups, right?
You would think.
Vásquez came over in the Juan Soto deal. And you'll see Michael King tomorrow from the Padres, who came over in the Soto deal.
Pitched well lately.
And JP Sears, of course, came over in the Frankie Montas deal with the Athletics. So two former Yankee farmhands. And that's another thing. I got a lot of Shooty Babbitt because I spent 2 days. And when you spend 2 days watching baseball, Shooty always likes when you do deals with the Yankees for players because they're well-trained. Shooty believes they are well-trained. So two Yankee farmhands on the mound today, JP Sears against Randy Vásquez. He's offensively, it's a problem. They've lost 9 of their last 12, scoring a total of 19 runs in those 9 losses. A's have 8 hits in 71 at-bats with runners in scoring position in those 9 defeats. So they've lost 9 of 12. In those 9 losses, they're hitting a .113 with runners in scoring position. A's still lead everybody in the world, 50.2% of their runs scoring via the long ball. Oakland leads the majors with 43 games this year with 3 runs or fewer. Not good.
By the way, it was 1.7 runs per game we were scoring over this. I think it was like, well, I have it right here. Hold on. It was Oakland has 13 runs over the last 8 games. It was one. That's at now. I fix it. That's 1.6 runs per game.
Yeah, because I can make
it was 1.7 yesterday.
I can make a case, and I can go to the Bible here, my scorebook, and tell you Joey Estes did not throw that bad yesterday. I can tell you right now, the Cronenworth home run, that was a gift. He threw 91 right down the pipe. But the next run that he gave up in the 4th inning, the Merrill hits the double down the line. We're shifting. We still play guys over for like he hits it off his hands and squirts it down the left field line. Joey made a good pitch. Tip your cap. The next one is the base hit by Kim that would bring Merrill in. Andujar, there was a 90% catch probability on that. Andujar butchered that, just to be honest. He's got to make that play. So that run probably doesn't come in. So once again, only 1 run. Then he gives up the home run to Tatis. That's fastball outside. Tatis hits a liner out to right. Tip your cap. So if you're telling me you go out and you give up 2 runs on the road in a start, that's not that. Joey said after the game, it wasn't a great start. True, I agree. But he wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. He should have only given up 2 runs. His defense did not help him out. And that's going to be when you're chasing offense, sometimes you have to give on defense. And right now, the A's are going to give on defense everywhere they can to chase offense because they need to find runs. And sometimes Andujar is going to giveth and sometimes going to taketh. Hopefully he gives more than he gives back, but he was given, he gave one back there. But Joey Estes, by no stretch of the imagination, was bad last night.
And, of course, the 1 run we scored was on what we do really well, a solo home run.
I looked at that home run, and it's like you hit Soderstrom's bat. Take me back to my old days when I used to be an instructor at the Las Vegas School of Baseball. My best friend's twin brother, who played for the Cubs, ran the Las Vegas School of Baseball. And we would go down there and we'd do Christmas camps. Party all night long, get no sleep, and then these kids would pay us to, it was a mess. But no, it was a really good camp. Greg Maddux showed up.
I was going to say, was Maddux there with you?
Yeah, Greg Maddux showed up. Mike Maddux was there. Tony Gwynn showed up because the guy who owned the camp was a former Vegas guy who played in the Padres system for AAA. So ex-Padres showed up, and then all the big Vegas guys showed up. When Greg Maddux shows up to your camp, you're like, dude. Like, I never asked for autographs, but I got Gwynn and Maddux to sign a ball. And I gave my brother that for Christmas because I would leave there and go back home to San Diego for Christmas. Greg Maddux showed up, bro. And you know what? Greg Maddux showed up in a Lexus. Just a regular Lexus. Guy's worth, I don't know, a couple $100 million. Showed up in a Lexus. Just Greg Maddux is a regular dude. But it was so anyway, I said, give me the little kids, right? I'd sit on a bucket, throw a Copenhagen in, and just hit these kids' bat. Had an L screen, and I'd hit these bats. That's what that reminded me yesterday of Soderstrom. You go look exactly where that pitch is. You look at the grids, right? There's 3 boxes at the top, middle, bottom. It was right there in the middle and a little bit in. You throw it there, you're going to hit his bat. Everywhere else, because you can see the hot and cold meters, there is an area that if you throw it the way Tyler Soderstrom swings, and so many players are like this, you throw it there, they can hit it. All the other places you throw it, like Dylan Cease, you're like, bro, I mean, you gifted that. Good for Soderstrom. I hope that like gets the confidence going. But when you got one swing for any pitch, If they don't throw you that pitch in that certain area, you're in trouble. So you found the area Soderstrom can hit. And this is what we see with a lot of the kids coming up. It's the travel ball kids. It's the tournament kids. It's the showcase kids. The game is like a showcase now. We get up there once. We don't play baseball. We don't play tradition. That's one of the questions that I'll have a little bit later, but that's what happened with Soderstrom. You threw the right pitch, right area. He hit it, gone. Second home run. That's positive. Just got to be Soderstrom. How does he handle the rest of the strike zone when it's not a dead straight fastball in that area?
I'm with you. I hope it gets his confidence going, because having him come through, because we know he has the power, him being able to come through in the lineup in the middle of the order when we're not scoring runs and only hitting solo home runs. If he can start hitting, I think he is in the lineup today. He is in the lineup hitting fifth again. So we'll see if he can keep it going tonight against Vásquez.
And at some point when we break, I got to go inside and get my phone, because I asked the great Johnny Gomes, one of the great leaders in A's history, did anybody see the Savannah Bananas sold out Fenway Park last night? The Savannah Bananas, they are essentially what the Harlem Globetrotters used to be. The Harlem Globetrotters were a big deal back in the day. And when they showed up, they they did arenas. And they sold out. And they sell out for like 2-3 nights. I remember my dad would take us. Metal Arc Lemon, it was awesome. The Harlem Globetrotters was set. They played the Washington Generals. It was a great show. The Savannah Bananas are the new Harlem Globe. And I know the Harlem Globetrotters are still going, but it's not what it used to be. The Savannah Bananas are the new Harlem Globetrotters on steroids. They sold out Fenway Park, one of the most historic, iconic, you name it, venues in American sports. The number is, we're used to the Savannah Bananas. Hey, they're coming to town. Where are they going to be? They're going to be Rayleigh Field. It's not Rayleigh Field anymore. It's Sutter Health.
Yeah, Sutter Health.
We're playing there next year. I should know that. Sutter Health. They played at San Jose Muni down here.
Correct.
Right? They're playing all the minor league parts. They played a big league park, historic Fenway Park, and sold out. And I asked Johnny Gomes, how can we learn from this? I think it's awesome. I think it's incredible. Anything that brings entertainment, anything that it's families, it's kids, it's fun. It's like they're selling out Fenway Park, which means they could sell out Yankee Stadium, which means they could sell out Wrigley. Could they sell out the Coliseum? Could the Savannah Bananas put, I don't even remember, what is a sellout? I'm not talking baseball sellout. Open it all up. It's 50-something thousand.
Yeah, what do we have? The wild card game against the Rays was like 54,000 or 55,000.
Yeah, the football game, you had the extra stands that came down.
Yeah,
that will never happen again, I've been told. Those stands are all beat up and broken. But yeah, you could put, let's say 40,000. Call it 40, 45. Could the Savannah Bananas put 45,000 in the Coliseum? And what I asked Johnny, he gave me an answer, but I don't have my phone on me, so that will be a tease. Johnny Gomes will tell us what baseball can learn and maybe implement. Because we told you yesterday, the in-game tournament for the NBA was huge. Like changing to make your game fan-friendly, changing your game to make it fun, changing your game to get kids more interested in your game. We don't have cheerleaders. We don't have flyovers. We're not shooting shirts into the stands constantly. We don't have stuff dropping from the arena. Like you go to a Warrior game, stuff drops from the ceiling. We don't have that, right? We can't have an NBA atmosphere. At every single break, we don't have cheerleaders running out onto the midcourt.
Can you imagine if they did that during a baseball game?
Get Feldy up here. Could we do that? Now, this man has been covering professional sports and working around professional sports. We call him an A's historian. But all of his years in television, all of his years being around with all the different entities that he's worked for. How many years is it now, Feldy?
Oh, it's been about 34 years.
can we somehow look at the Savannah Bananas, who just sold out Fenway Park?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of, and you and I are old enough to remember how big the Harlem Globetrotters were, right? The
Sure.
Harlem Globetrotters, for me growing up, they'd come to the San Diego. I can't even believe it's still, they haven't buried it yet, but the San Diego Sports Arena. But they would come to the sports arena and sell out 3 nights, right? They'd come to, back then we called the arena the Coliseum, right? They would sell out. I mean, the Harlem Globetrotters, this is like the Harlem Globetrotters on steroids. I don't know. We're both kind of old school, but is there anything that we can learn from the Savannah Bananas to help our game?
Well, I think the engagement with the fans, it's in minor leagues, they still do it, right? You still see a lot of between innings stuff with the fans being involved. You're engaging them. I don't know if we'll ever get to the point where you're going to have a professional baseball team singing before the game like the Savannah Bananas do. I would love to see it. I would love to see them all do a choreographed dance right before a pitch. Sure, why not? I love it. But what they made the Savannah Bananas, it's a 2-hour entertainment event. So you're a fan, you're taking your family, you've got 2 hours, and that's it. And if there's a tie game, we're going to a home run hitting contest. We got rules. You're just trying to win innings. The team that wins the most innings, that's the winning team. There's stuff going on. There's little things you can incorporate, right? The fan engagement. Seattle this year is doing the hot dog drop, right? So you talk about things dropping at Warrior games. Well, Seattle's figured out how to do it at a baseball game. I think you'll see some more of that fan engagement as teams try and figure this out, because the Savannah Bananas have hit on something, right? They've definitely found this niche, and I agree it's very Harlem Globetrotter-esque. The difference being the Bananas are not guaranteed to win every night. They actually have to play and win the game if they want to win. The opposing team has just as much a chance as the Bananas do.
Nobody's beaten Meadowlark Lemon.
Oh, he's the best.
When I was a kid, folks, he guaranteed hook shot from half court, and he made it all the time. It was incredible.
That whole show, from Curly Neal and the dribbling and Meadowlark Lemon and the stuff they would do. I went only once. I worked a Harlem's Globetrotter game in San Jose. Matt Beskersion was the play-by-play announcer. This was, I believe, a Fox televised event. And they're like, okay, we need you to keep stats. All right, I'm keeping stats. My stats do not match the scoreboard at all. They just make up the score all of a sudden. The Globetrotters are up by 5. It was great, right? All your favorites, the water pail trick where it's not filled with water, it's confetti, except one time it is with water and it goes right on a Generals player. It's fantastic entertainment. It really is. You don't go for the competition. I remember as a kid, though, asking my dad, like, what would happen if the Globetrotters played in the NBA? How would they do? They look fantastic. They'd be a great NBA team. And my dad just goes, they'd get killed on the boards. They wouldn't rebound at all.
Whoa. Wilt Chamberlain was once a Harlem Globetrotter.
You know who else? Bob Gibson was a Harlem Globetrotter. The great Hall of Fame pitcher, Bob Gibson.
Was he really?
He was. He played baseball at Creighton, but it was a great basketball player, and he actually spent some of his winters with the Globetrotters.
Well, if we're getting in a fight, I'm getting behind Bob.
Bob, good. I always remember my dad getting killed on the boards. So funny. He had broken it down, did a scouting report. He knew where the weakness was.
All right, the big 3. It's interesting, when we talk about different eras in A's baseball, greatness, right? You got the teams from the 70s. It's one of the great dynasties in the history of baseball. Only the Yankees and the A's have won 3 straight before. You think 71 through 75, these guys come from Kansas City. Unfortunately, and I'm in that class, I was born, right? So I don't remember them. You were just a little kid. Then you get into the 80s, 3 World Series again, and you can argue the 89 team is one of the greatest teams of all time. And if we were putting guys in who use PEDs, there would be more Hall of Famers from that team. But then there's the lull in the late 90s. Here comes Billy Beane and the steroid era. And all of a sudden later on a book and a movie. But really, when you think about Giambi becoming a star, Tejada was a great player, terrific teams, and the big 3, a lot of our fan base, this is where they fell in love with A's baseball. And you had these 3 pitchers, all completely different. They look different. They act different. They pitch different. But together, they were incredible. And they were your version of what we saw, three pitchers completely different with Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz. When you had that threesome, it's pretty amazing. The big three, just before we get into your top 10 moments of the big three, they come about. They're incredible. What was it like through your eyes?
Yeah, it was fantastic because you're right. There's this lull, A's history, right? You had the Bash brother years that ended after the '92 season, and then the wasteland of '93, '94, '95. We have the strike in there. '96 Powerball. We're starting to hit home runs, but we trade McGuire, we trade Geronimo Baroa. '98, '97, '97 losses, '98 struggling, but you kept hearing that the A's had drafted this kid Tim Hudson out of Auburn, and he was going to be something. And then in '98, second pick in the draft, they take Mark Mulder. And I remember when Mark Mulder came to the ballpark in '98, when they draft him, they bring him out to the stadium, and he throws a bullpen. And Mike McFarland is the catcher for the A's, and he catches the bullpen. At the end of the bullpen, Billy's on the field, Sandy Alderson is still hanging around. He's down there. And Mike McFarland has a handful of about 15 pens in his hand. And he's just running up to Billy saying, "Sign him now," and giving him this buttload of pens because he knew out of one bullpen how special this was. And then in '99, they draft Zito. So this is homegrown talent. Hudson makes his debut in '99 in June, and you're like, wow, look at this guy. He's small in stature, but he's kind of a bulldog out there. He's got a little Pedro-esque to him in size, and he's going after guys. And then Mulder comes up in 2000, and then a couple months later, there's Zito, and you're like, oh my, what do we have here? And then watching their development through 2001, 2002, and this dominance, and like you said, very different pitchers. Even though Mulder and Zito were both left-handers, very different the way they went about it. Zito with the big curveball, and Mulder with the splitty and the slider and the fastball, just very different ways. And then Hudson being kind of the leader of the big three. It was such a pleasure to watch. Because, as a kid, Holtzman, Blue, and Hunter were the A's big three. And being as small as I was then, I wasn't able to appreciate it. But I knew what the A's had with Stewart and Welch. But and Mike Moore, these weren't homegrown pitchers. And Kurt Young was the only homegrown pitcher. These were homegrown, drafted, developed, homegrown. It was so special to be a part of that big three and to see those guys just dominate. If you went in a weekend series and those were the three pitchers lined up, it was a good chance you were looking at an A sweep.
Yeah, I remember that one year right before the All-Star break, they went into Arizona and took it to Arizona. The year the Arizona win the World Series, and it was like, welcome to Hudson Mulder. It's not fair to compare the other two guys with a guy who's 6'6" and built like a Greek god. That's just not fair.
It was funny to see Mulder and see Mulder out, right, when we go out at night. And because he is so tall and broad shoulders and just, like a Greek god, just standing above everybody, looking at his kingdom. He was amazing to be around. But you know what? Zito and his quirkiness, because he was really quirky when he first came up. I mean, the story's written about him carrying his pillows and setting up his hotel room, just a quirk master. And then Zito just being this gamer, a great hitter at Auburn, right? But now being a pitcher and just being this bulldog in the mound. So very different, personalities different, but got along famously and just had a great time.
All right, let's do our top 10 big three moments in A's history.
Yeah, this was a fun one when Cody, or actually you threw this out at me, didn't you? Just big three moments and just kind of breaking it down. And it was kind of easy. It was kind of fast to go, these were the games that stick out for me, for each guy. And as we like to do with our honorable mentions, I had to throw in some losses there for everybody, right? Because we think about the wins, but they were some incredibly well-pitched games that ended up losing. And for me, Zito, it's game 3 of the 2001 ALDS. It's the Jeremy Giambi slide, not slide game. But we forget Zito against Messina. And Zito only gave up 1 run on a Jorge Posada homer. That was it. He dominated that Yankee team. 8 innings, only 2 hits, 6 Ks, 110 pitches, 1 mistake to Posada. I don't think Zito was ever pitched better than that. You know what I mean? That was as good as Zito could be, and he was dominant that night.
Yeah, you're going up against a historic team. I mean, that group of Yankees was historic, right? They're one of the great groups in the history of baseball, and you're going out and shoving like that. And it's hard to be better than that.
It's hard to be better than that. You make one mistake and it costs you. For Mulder, I go to a regular season game. This is in 2002, after the streak. This is September 17th. The A's won 20 games, and the Angels were on their tail the whole time. And here we are, 12 games left in the season, and the A's and Angels are tied for the AL West. Tied. This is after a 20-game win streak. You're still tied. It was Mulder versus Jarrett Washburn, and Mulder, he pitched out of a jam in the third inning, first and third, nobody out, gets out of it, goes 9 innings, only gives up 5 hits, strikes out 12, just dominating this Angel team. But it was one of those nights where the A's offense could not push across a run on Jarrett Washburn. Washburn was a thorn in the A's side back then. Miguel Tejada could not hit him. And then the A's ended up losing in the 10th inning. Billy Koch came in, gave up a homer to Tim Salmon. Percival shut the door. That was it. The A's were down a game with 11 to play. They go 9-2 the rest of the way and win the West by 4. But I thought Mulder that night, in a big game where the A's needed to win, pitched as well as he could. Again, the offense just couldn't get any runs.
All righty. By the way, quickly, you want to know the first time I saw Miguel Tejada? You'll love this story. I'm doing play-by-play for the San Jose Giants against the Modesto A's. Show up in Modesto. It's 8,000 degrees. Their new ballpark. They hadn't built the press box yet. It was a mess. And there's this kid for the A's who's got like 20 home runs. He's leading the league. And they're like, oh, yeah, this kid's only like 19. 19, huh? I think he was a little bit older than that.
He might have been 22.
Dominating everybody. Not that you look back and go, oh, I get it now. I get it. All right, number 10.
Number 10, we're going to start with Tim Hudson, his 7th major league start. This is July of 1999 in Arizona, going against the big unit, Randy Johnson.
Ooh.
Now, July 10th, 99, there's something else happened on that date that kind of overshadowed this game, and that was the U.S. Women's World Cup soccer team winning the World Cup. Brandy Chastain, penalty kick shootout. You've seen the photo. You know what happens.
Santa Clara
Zone. So a lot of people don't remember this because at the same time this game was going on, Hudson against Randy Johnson. Tim Raines leads off with a home run against the big unit, and then Huddy just took it to him. 8 1/3, 3 hits, no runs, 9 strikeouts, 121 pitches. Finally, after giving up a 1-out walk to Luis Gonzalez, they brought in Billy Taylor to get the final 2 outs. But Hudson out-dueling the big unit. Again, kind of putting himself on the map, right? He's only been up for a month at this point. 7th major league start. He beats the big unit.
Did Billy Taylor have the knee brace on?
He had 2 knee braces on that day.
By the way, Cody's over here freaking out. 120. Yes, Cody, guys used to go over 100 pitches. That's awesome. You outduel one of the greatest pitchers of all time.
Yeah, and just, it was a national TV game that nobody saw because of this World Cup going on, but it was announcing yourself. And Tim Raines, how about that? Tim Raines, leadoff home run against the big unit.
Number 9,
we're going to go back with Barry Zito and his major league debut. This is July 22nd, 2000 versus the Angels, right? He was drafted in June of 99. And in 99, he actually pitched in A-ball, AA, AAA. That's how fast he's moving up the ladder. Now, he had been a college pitcher at a few different colleges. Actually drafted out of USC, but started at Santa Barbara, then went to Pierce Community College. So he's already ahead of the game. And now he makes 18 starts at Sacramento. He's 8-5 with an ERA of 3.19. The A's, they need a starter. Ariel Prieto's in the rotation at this point. Barry Zito's a little better than Ariel Prieto. So they bring him up in July. Ben Grief, it's a grand slam early in the game. The A's have a 7-run lead in the 5th inning, but the Angels load the bases against Zito. Nobody out. 5th inning. You want Zito to get the win. You want him to get through 5, but now he's got to go through the heart of the Angels' order. And what does he do? He strikes out Mo Vaughn. He strikes out Tim Salmon. He strikes out Garrett Anderson.
That's awesome.
gets through 5, gets the win, first major league win. Awesome debut.
Mo Vaughn, great angel. Don't ever forget. Remember, he goes for the foul ball, tweaks his ankle. He's never the same.
No, and that
right?
gets the fences in front of the dugouts, right? Most dugouts at that time did not have the little guardrails and the little fences in front of them. But after Mo Vaughn fell, all dugouts all of a sudden started to have those guardrails, except for the Coliseum.
Number 8. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, how about Kikuchi coming out? First of all, Dallas Braden calls him the interpreter. I look at Shooty Babbitt and go, interpreters aren't wearing uniforms.
No.
That is Kikuchi, not the interpreter. Like, Kikuchi, what are you doing?
Yeah, where was he going?
Yeah.
It was crazy, but it was a hell of a hit. I mean, that's the best hit we've seen on the field since really the Raiders.
Ooh, shots fired. Number 8.
Number 8, we're going to go to Mark Mulder. We're going to go to Game 3 of the 2001 ALDS. I'm sorry, Game 1, 2001 ALDS at New York versus Roger Clemens. And Mulder brought this game up over the weekend during one of his interviews. This is after 9/11. It's the first postseason game in New York. It's Mark Mulder versus Roger Clemens. These were the 2 top pitchers in the American League that year. Right, one of these 2 guys was going to win the Cy Young. Turned out to be Roger Clemens in a bad vote. Should have been Mulder, and Mulder proved it that night, beating Roger Clemens 6 2/3, giving up only 1 earned run, no walks, 110 pitches. The A's jumped on the board early with a Jason Giambi sac fly, but right away Mulder's in trouble. First and second, no outs in the bottom of the first, but gets a double play by Bernie Williams, strikes out Tino Martinez, and then we're off and running. T. Long hits a solo homer off Clemens. Then Jason homers off Sterling Hitchcock. T. Long homers again off Sterling Hitchcock. Mulder was at his best with runners in scoring position. Yankees were 0 for 11 against Mulder with runners in scoring position. The A's win 5-3 to take Game 1 of that series. That's a statement game in New York, beating Roger Clemens, first game after 9/11.
That's awesome. Number 7.
Back to Hudson. This is a regular season game in 2003, but it didn't feel like a regular season game. This is versus Boston. This is versus Pedro Martinez. This is a Tuesday night with 33,000 fans in the ballpark. This is a starting pitching matchup. And we've talked about what we've lost in this game a little bit. And this is it, when horse starters go against each other. This is Hudson. It's Pedro. People want to watch it. And Hudson was at his best. A 2-hit shutout with 7 strikeouts, beating Pedro. Pedro was out after 5 innings. He gave up a Chris Singleton RBI double, a Jose Guillen RBI single, and our man Terrence Long again hits a 2-run homer in the 6th to break it open off Casey Fossum. 4-0, 2-hit shutout. Huddy taking it to Pedro.
It's a great example. These people who have been all about less from starting pitchers, less. It's like, okay, whatever the data says, we are in the entertainment business. You're making less stars, right? You're basically now making all the stars just position players. You're taking stardom out of pitching. And when you do that, you're making less stars in your game. I don't know what sport. We've worked NFL, we've worked NBA, hockey. No sport says let's make less stars. Baseball's making less stars.
Yeah. I mean, the starting pitching has been the heart and soul of Major League Baseball since the beginning. Who's on the mound? Who's the guy? And that's the guy that brings the fan in. And when you have great starters, people want to see those guys pitching. You can sell it, you can promote it, and people are going to come. And I don't know how we're going to get back to that. I don't know if we ever will. I'm hoping we do, because it's just a special part of baseball is that starting pitcher.
Number 6.
Number 6, we're going to go back to Barry Zito in Game 1 of the 2006 ALDS at Minnesota. It's Barry Zito who had a fantastic 2006 season, but he's facing the best pitcher in baseball that season, Johan Santana. All right, Santana, and this was the fearsome. For the A's, they didn't know who they were going to play. It came down to the last day, whether they're going to Detroit, going to Minnesota. It was Minnesota and Santana. They knew they had their hands full, but Zito was up for the challenge. 8 innings, 4 hits. They only gave up 1 run, a solo home run to Rondell White. Only struck out 1 guy. Was pitching to contact in the dome, but again, clutching up. Twins were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position versus Zito. Frank Thomas with the big home run against Santana that changed everything for that series, making it known that the A's, they can beat this guy. Thomas gives you the lead. Zito shuts them down. Just a fantastic performance in the postseason by Barry Zito.
Number 5.
Mulder, Burley. We've heard about it. They've talked about it. This was May 6, 2003.
Was it about an hour and 20 minutes?
Hour and 49 minutes. They had just met up a week before in Chicago, and it was an hour 53. And now it's an hour 49. And this is a game that actually started 10 minutes late. There was a rain delay at the beginning of the game. So it starts 10 minutes late, and Mulder just goes out there, complete game, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 105 pitches. The A's get on the board early. D'Angelo Jimenez, future athletic, now playing for the White Sox, drops a pop-up with the bases loaded, 3 runs score, and then Mulder just deals. Gets 3 double plays. That helps speed things up. Obviously, we know how fast Burley works. At the time, it was Mulder's 3rd straight complete game and finished a 4-start stretch where Mulder went 4-0 with 0.79 ERA. Unreal. They would actually meet up one more time later in the year, Mulder and Burley, again, under 2 hours.
You could not have a fireworks game with those 2 guys.
No, and what's interesting, a lot of people believe that the fireworks game that the A's had to wait for it to get dark was Mulder and Burley. It was not. Mulder and Burley, this was actually a Tuesday night game. The game that people are thinking about is a July 4th game where it was the A's and the Angels. It was Mulder versus Aaron Seeley that took 2 hours and 2 minutes. The A's lost 1-0, and they had to wait for it to get dark. But it's one of those things. It's collective memory. I know there's a word for it, where everyone thinks it was Mulder and Burley. It was not.
Can you imagine Renetti going, oh, my God, it's not even close to being dark yet.
What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Wow, we got like 30 minutes before it even comes close to being dark. I mean, can you imagine if they had drones in? How are we going to send up the drones? Okay, what are we at, number 4?
I believe we are number 4.
All right.
And this is Tim Hudson, game 162 of the 2000 season. This is, for me, maybe my favorite game in the Coliseum. I know a lot of people like 162 in 2012. I get that.
Favorite? This is your favorite. You've been going to these games since the early 70s. This is your favorite game.
It is, because there was so much at stake. The difference with the 2012 games, the A's were already in the playoffs, right? They had already clinched the wild card. But for this game, the A's had an incredible September run, a team that was, again, not thought of to do anything really. But here they are on the precipice of the postseason. But they needed to win the game. First, to clinch the AL West. And secondly, to avoid having to fly cross-country to Tampa Bay for a makeup game. So this is really game 161, because they had a game rained out in Tampa Bay. There was a hurricane warning. If they had lost this game, they would have had to go to Tampa Bay for a makeup. And if they had lost that game in Tampa Bay, they were going to have to fly all the way to Seattle to play a 1-game playoff.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
So there was so much riding on this game. And it's Tim Hudson, who is having an incredible September. He had won his last 6
worst
starts.
case scenario. Florida back to the Pacific Northwest. If you just look at the map and how much teams fly, we just talked to Ryan Stanek about this now that he's joined the Mariners, how awful it is. Like, that is the worst, like what the Rangers had to do last year when they lost, they had to go to Tampa. Going to Florida, then back to the Pacific Northwest would be the worst, longest travel you have in baseball.
Exactly. So it was staring the A's in the face. You had to beat a bad Texas team. And Hudson, he was going for his 20th win of the season. Like I said, he had won his previous 6. And he just said, like, puts it on his back. Here you go, boys. Unpack your suitcases. I'm taking care of this. 8 innings, no runs. But again, the A's offense was struggling with 0-0 going to the bottom of the 7th. The A's finally break through on a Ramon Hernandez base hit. And then in the 8th, they get homers from Velarde and Olmedo Signs. 45,000 people at the Coliseum going absolutely crazy. It's as loud as you can believe on a Sunday afternoon. The A's win the game. Isringhausen striking out Frank Catalanato with a curveball. Last 7 games of the 2000 season for Hudson, 7-0, 1.16 ERA, 2 shutouts. finishes second in the Cy Young voting to Pedro. Just what a day at the Coliseum. And that celebration in the clubhouse. I still have clothes that smell from the beer that was flowing in that clubhouse for that celebration. It was as wild, as crazy, as long as you can possibly believe.
And that's why every single time someone tells me wins for starting pitchers don't matter, I just go, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And then and they'll fight you on it. I mean, guys in MLB Network, all the data people, Cody sitting next to me, they all say wins don't. I just go, and the fact that all these games you keep talking about the innings. It's almost like we're talking about this is the 40s. No, this was just not that long ago, right? I mean, this was in the early 2000s. We're talking about guys going 80. No, I love it how it's your favorite game. I love it how it's your favorite game. Number three,
this is Zito. This is an elimination game. Game 4 of the 2000 ALDS at Yankee Stadium. Again, the A's are down 2-1. They're facing Roger Clemens. I think you're starting to understand that the A's sort of had Roger Clemens' number when it came to the postseason.
But let's give the Rocket a little credit because we talk about, Dave Stewart kicked Roger Clemens' ass. This is literally a long time after. It shows you how good Roger Clemens was, right?
There's no doubt.
Decades of, hey, we kicked Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens is still in the conversation from the 80s into the 2000s.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And here he is trying to close out the series. And here's young Barry Zito out there wearing number 53 on his back, going out. Olmedo signs. It's a 3-run homer off Clemens in the first inning. And then Zito, 5 2/3, only gives up 1 run on a Jorge Posada double. Not until the 6th inning does he give up a run. By that time, the game's almost out of hand. A's blow it open. They win 11-1. But Zito, Yankee Stadium, the biggest stage, rookie pitcher, doesn't skip a beat. 5 2/3, 1 run, 2 walks, 5 Ks, 104 pitches, beats Roger Clemens, sends the series back to Oakland. No issue for Barry Zito.
Straight talent. Just talent.
Yeah.
Just that curveball changeup combination with pretty decent velo for a left-handed pitcher. He just oozed talent. That young Barry Zito just had flat talent.
And confidence, right? Confidence to throw that curveball in any count, knowing that you're not going to hit it.
Number 2.
You brought up the series at Arizona in 2001, right before the All-Star break. And this is the Saturday game, and it's Mulder on the mound. And this is, my opinion, the best game Mulder ever pitched. He was perfect through 7 innings. He gave up a Danny Batista clean single up the middle to lead off the bottom of the 8th, and that's it. 28 batters faced, 9 strikeouts, 100 pitches for a 9-inning complete game shutty. 2 hours, 8 minutes, just domination. A's win the game 3-0. They scored 3 in the top of the 7th, but it was so simple. There was no stress. You've never seen a guy as in control as Mark Mulder was that night. Just easy shutty. No chance of hitting him. They're lucky to get the 1 hit. That win actually even the A's record at 43-43. That was a team that started 8-18, right? We thought, this game's over. This season's over, 8-18. 43-43. They win the next day. They beat Kurt Schilling. Barry Zito beats them. And then they roll, right? Great win, 103-win season. But Mark Mulder that night, as good as he's ever been and ever was.
Man, you got Luis Gonzalez. You got Matt Williams. I mean, Mark Grace. Tony Womack had that's the World Series. That's a team that beats the Yankees in the World Series in their house. Just dominating them.
Yeah, and going in there and sweeping them like that. And this is funny. Schilling was pitching on that Sunday, and right, this is the Sunday before the All-Star break. And Schilling had sort of said that he wants to pitch deep into the game because he doesn't want to pitch in the All-Star game. And back then, it wasn't a rule that Sunday pitchers don't pitch, so you had to make a decision. And he goes, "I'm going to pitch deep in the game." And I remember telling A's manager Art Howe that this is what Schilling was saying, and Art Howe just had this smile on his face, he's going, "Good to know. Good to know. We're going to beat him," and they did.
Reggie Sanders, Steve Finley, Luis Gonzalez, Matt Williams, Mark Grace. Jay Bell was playing second base. I mentioned Tony Womack, the manager of the Cubs, Craig Counsell. This was a stacked, our buddy Brian Anderson from the Rays, along with Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson. They had Batista. They had all kinds of guys. I mean, that was to go out and do that against them. That's balling.
It was ball. It was a great sweep, and it just set the tone for the second half that you knew this A's team, this was something special going on in 0-1.
All right, the top moment, the top of the big three, top 10.
Yeah, this is game 2 of the 2001 ALDS. Again, at Yankee Stadium, and it's Tim Hudson. So the A's win game 1 behind Mulder, and now it's game 2. Yankee Stadium, the Yankees are down, and Hudson just shoves. 8 innings, no runs, only gives up 6 hits, 113 pitches. Ron Gant hits a solo home run against Andy Pettit. Hudson had some traffic to pitch through, first and third with 2 outs in the 7th. He got a Scott Brocious ground out. In the 8th, he had first and Jeter on first with 2 outs and gets Paul O'Neill to pop up, but just in control. And Yankee Stadium was buzzing that night because who's sitting right behind home plate? Paul McCartney. He's right there at a ball game. He's on every center field camera shot. There's Paul McCartney. There's Tim Hudson, and Tim Hudson just shoves at Yankee Stadium.
The Beatle,
the Beatle, and the Wing.
Or do you go Wings?
It's Paul. It's Sir Paul McCartney. It just
Sir
Paul. That whole thing. That 0-1 Yankees 9-11, and for first Mulder and then Hudson, but just the domination that Hudson had that night. And he had pitched very well in 2000 at Yankee Stadium. He pitched game 3. He actually pitched a complete game in game 3, but lost to El Duque. In that game, get this, Cody, 122 pitches in the playoffs. But this night, he was just better. And again, it was Isringhausen closing it out. The A's take a 2-0 lead. Things are looking pretty good. We don't want to talk about the rest of the series.
His arm didn't fall off?
No one went to the hospital?
There was no ambulance at the stadium?
Everything was good. Everything was good.
Everything worked out. Everybody's okay to this day?
Everybody's okay to this day. Yes.
All right, run them down, your top 10.
Oh, boy. You got Hudson beating Randy Johnson as a rookie. You have Zito's debut. You have Mulder with game 1 of that 2001 ALDS. You have Hudson beating Pedro Martinez on a Tuesday night in 2003. You have Zito beating Johan Santana in game 1 of the 2006 ALDS. You have Mulder taking all of an hour and 49 to beat Mark Burley 6-0. You have Hudson saving the A's a trip to Tampa Bay and clinching the AL West, beating Texas with 8 shutout innings. You have Zito elimination game at Yankee Stadium, beating Roger Clemens in game 4 of the 2000 ALDS. Mulder near perfection, facing only 28 batters, giving up 1 hit at Arizona. And then Huddy, Yankee Stadium, game 2, 8 shutout innings. A's take a 2-0 series lead.
All right. We all say we love our kids equally. I don't believe it. You like one kid better than the other. Out of the 3, your favorite?
I'm going to go Tim Hudson because he was there first. Coming up in 99, he set the tone. He was the leader, and he just had that. He had more of that bulldog on the mound. Mulder didn't need the bulldog because he was just dominating you, and Zito was just flipping curveballs and just beating you with talent. But Hudson looked to be working a little harder and just taking it to you. And I just loved watching Hudson pitch. I love that bulldog in him. I love the way the competitiveness on the mound. I don't know. It's just something about it. And again, he arrived first, and he was our first guy that we got to love, and he was just unbelievable.
That is our top 10 moments in Big 3 history for a little green and gold history right here on A's Cast. Everybody pause. You can have it there. All right. Hey, is it still shocking? Is it Blue Moon Odom was the last one to hit a home run for a pitcher for the A's? Because it was Huddy got in his first start ever was against the Padres at old Jack Murphy, where I grew up. He got a hit.
He did.
How the hell did not one A's pitcher during interleague play ever ran into a ball? How's that possible?
Dude, I think the furthest ball a pitcher hit, I think, was Tom Candiotti hit a ball at Coors Field that maybe went over the center fielder's head at Coors Field. I think that was the furthest ball.
Mary's great Tom Candiotti?
Yeah. A's pitcher is not good. Obviously, Holtzman hit the home run in the World Series. Mike Moore had the big double in the 89 World Series. A's pitcher's hitting, not good.
Where's that guy who played at Texas Tech who claims he was such a great hitter?
Yeah, he didn't go so
You
well.
worked
for
with
to
him.
play. Yeah. Dallas, no. It's different up here, man. Huddy battled. Huddy got a few hits. Mulder always talked about his hitting. How about Sean Doolittle, who was a minor league first baseman?
He was the
right?
fair first baseman of the future.
Yeah. So he actually got a big league at bat. Did not go well.
Bartolo Colon hit a home run. We haven't had a guy since the 70s.
Yeah, my guy, since the Blue Moon Odom doing it. It's crazy to think. And now we never will unless something strange happens where a pitcher ends up in the lineup and for some reason has to hit. You're just not going to see it. But Hudson at Auburn was a great hitter. Yep. And if you get a chance to look at those numbers and just he played center field or he DH on days he didn't pitch, he was a legitimate great hitter.
Great stuff, Feldy. This was really, really good. I think great idea. Run this baby through the summer. I think people are going to love it.
It is. And speaking of Tejada, just a quick Tejada anniversary. Today in 1999, Miguel Tejada, 3 home runs against the Los Angeles Dodgers at the Oakland Coliseum.
Well, that could be my 3rd inning hit right there. I like
Happy
that.
to help.
On this date at the Coliseum against the Dodgers, 3 home runs by Miguel Tejada.
Yes, sir.
I like it. Happy birthday, Max Schuemann. I know you predicted he'd be the A's shortstop. Happy 27th birthday.
We looked it up. The last A to homer on his birthday was Jed Lowry on the 50th anniversary night at the Coliseum in 2018. He homered on his birthday.
The great Gazoo, the double flap.
Oh, Jed Lowry. Remember that night, the free tickets and all the fans?
I love Jed Lowry. Jed Lowry was he was a great interview, smart guy, Stanford, and just like he got it. Like Jed Lowry got it, and I love. You know what? In the A's, we've always been switching the lineup around. Feldy, it drives me nuts. It just drives me nuts. But Bob Melvin just at one point was like, "All right, you're hitting third, and I don't care what the front office says. You're hitting third."
Yeah, it's funny. This is the A's 69th game of the season tonight. This is our 67th different lineup.
Yeah, we're game 69 or 67. I mean, don't look up the word continuity in Webster's dictionary.
No. But Jed Lowry was so good in 2018 and just a force, right? He was
an extra base hitting machine.
Just clutch. When he was a shortstop in 2014, he didn't have the range. We saw that. But when he came back as a second baseman, it was the perfect position for him.
I have a question. I can't get the answer because we got to go. But I will pose this to you, and I want you to chew on it. Players today are better athletes. Athletes always get better, right? Everybody gets bigger, stronger, faster. We see it in the Olympics. We see players today are better athletes, but are they better in-game players?
All right, let me stew on that.
In game, I change it because a lot of people. But all I'm saying is athletes are better today, but in between the line, in game, do they play the game better?
Yeah, interesting question. I will.
Great stuff. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Towny.
Our A's historian, David Feldman. How good was that?
I loved hearing the big 3 moments. We'll play the Zito video later, and I have some big 3 stats that are pretty good.
I like it. Coming up next, hot takes. And I need you to get taps.
I think we have it still. If not, I'll get it.
I need you to get it for my hot take. The great Johnny D from San Diego next, right here on A's Cast Live.
We're almost halfway through baseball season, and there's no better time to build your collection of Topps trading cards. Topps packs feature everything from top stars, rookies, game-used memorabilia, and autographs from players around the league, as well as special inserts and surprises. Visit your local hobby shop, retailers, and Topps.com to collect the newest product of the season, Topps Baseball Series 2. Follow @Topps on social media to join the conversation and start sharing your collection today.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, step up to the plate with Xfinity Internet. Get the fastest speeds and low-lag streaming for an incredible viewing experience that knocks it out of the park. And you'll have a consistent connection with reduced buffering and freezing, so you can stay in all the action inning after inning. When it's game time, make sure to catch it all with internet that's powerful and reliable. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity, because it's only live once. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Many factors affect speed. For factors affecting speed, visit xfinity.com/network management.
Whether it's a midweek trip to the ballpark to catch a game or a weekend of baseball for the family, grab your tickets for an A's game this season. Secure your seats today for all the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. Don't miss out on all the things happening this season.
Rose and Seth. It's a drive into center. It's deep, and Straw is back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
So grab yours now at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intended and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
This is the place where you could dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean it. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
This is Chris Townsend. I'm proud to announce our year 2 partnership with Link Soul. They've changed my wardrobe, and they can do the same for you. And right now, their spring collection is fabulous. Natural fabrics and versatile styles, perfect for this time of the year. And they want to introduce their performance line for golf, premium for on-course apparel design, and to keep you cool and dry. Check it all out, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com. Remember, look good, play good.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All righty, we head to San Diego. Johnny D on the scene from Petco Park. There he is. Hi, Johnny.
Hi, boys. How are you guys?
Hey, before we get into our hijinks and games, I want to throw it to you that I know someone, a very personal friend of yours, unfortunately lost their life in a tragic, I believe, hit by a car, someone who was very close to you, and I know you wanted to give a shout-out to your friend and the family.
Yeah, thanks, Towny. Yeah, Steve Klauke, who is a really good friend of mine, who was the voice of the Salt Lake Bees for almost 30 years, a legend in the business, a big league voice. He called a couple big league games for the Angels, but he was a big league voice, even though he was in AAA in Salt Lake, always quick with a pun, always cared about, always asked about your family, just a great human. And I'm just, my heart is so heavy. I know a lot of people are really struggling today getting that news that he passed away. So I appreciate you bringing it up. Steve Klauke, a great man. He will be missed. I miss him already. And it's just a crusher today. It's just hug your loved ones. You never know, right? It just crushes you, So anyway, thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, I'll miss him dearly, Steve Klauke. Thank you.
Yeah, because we always think about these voices at the big league level. We get a little selfish because we're at the big league level, but you forget about guys that are in other towns who broadcast, and generations grow up with these guys.
No question, Towny. Yeah, I even just around the A's ball club, talked to Chris Crone. He's like, that guy, I listened to when my son was playing, I listened to him. He was really good, huh? I'm like, yes, he was. He was an outstanding announcer. He did Weber State basketball and football. He retired from the baseball, but he was still doing basketball and football. Just a really, really solid broadcaster. But even better guy, and he's going to be missed. That classic smirk he had, Towny, when he told a joke. He always had these puns. He was like the best. Called him the pun master, right? The greatest jokes. So when you go in there, you know you're going to be entertained, and he was just classic. So I'm going to miss him so much.
Yeah, it's very, very sad news.
Yeah.
Harder to break into this the hijinks of what we do here, but it is time for Hot Takes.
Hot Take Tuesday.
Every once in a while, you hear a really good sports hot take.
Mark this and remember what I told you. The Yankees will not win the World Series. I was right.
Then you hear some really bad hot takes.
I'm calling it now. There will be a collapse in Milwaukee.
That's a bad
take. The Chicago Cubs will catch them.
Angel Hernandez retiring is bad for baseball.
Awful
The Astros will
take.
still win the AL West.
Oh, my God.
Well, on A's Cast Live, all takes are hot takes. It's time for Hot Takes Tuesday with Chris Townsend, only on A's Cast Live.
I got to go to the standings here. Wait a minute. The standings. Where are those Houston at? Those Astros are
It's not good.
yeah, they're still 7.5 games back.
30
All
goals.
right.
Yeah.
What do you got, Commander, for your hot take today?
All right, so we'll go with Ray, the Karate Kid Jensen first. He texted to me earlier. Since it's not baseball related, we'll start with him. He claims today on June 11th, 2024, the San Francisco 49ers season is already over.
Oh, whoa. Is this Jets Niners?
This is Jets Niners week 1. Aaron Rodgers unexcused absence from minicamp today.
So wait a minute. Week 1 is Jets Niners?
Yep. I think it's
Where?
Monday Night Football.
Where?
Here.
Well, the last time I was at a Jets, correct me if I'm wrong, the last time I was at Candlestick Park for Jets 49ers, isn't that the Garrison Hurst 98 yards walk off, that long run? What year was that? I was at that game.
Yeah, it was like 98 or 99. But his hot take has to do with the running back, and it's because the season's over because Christian McCaffrey's the cover athlete for Madden, and there's a Madden curse.
Oh, you're going against our Niner brethren.
So the
here?
season is over, according to Ray Jensen, for the San Francisco 49ers because Christian McCaffrey is on the cover of Madden.
Is that a hot take?
Yeah.
I never have to worry about it because the great Al Davis always said that the greatness is always in the Raiders' future. So I never have to worry.
So mine has to do with something. June 2nd, 2021. Where was everyone else at? 3+ years ago.
Okay.
I was probably doing an A's game.
Yep. Same.
I was doing a Rivercat game. Yep.
Okay. On that date, Schuemann went 9 scoreless innings for a shutout against the Seattle Mariners. Okay.
Yeah.
Book it now. I'm not saying it's tonight, but this year, JP Sears will throw the first complete game for the A's since Schuemann.
I
like that take. I like that.
That's a hot take.
3 years.
Well, it's been 2.5 years, right?
No, 3 now.
So officially 3 years.
Because June 2nd, 2021.
Okay. That's disgusting. You know what? We're gonna have to. We got a bone to pick with the skipper Mark Kotze. We're gonna have to be like you gotta. We cannot go. So the end of this year will be 3. If we don't do it, that'll be 3.5 years without a complete game.
Yeah.
I really like that take. I really do.
I appreciate you today.
Thank you.
I do too. I appreciate you too, Commander. I like that.
Thank you, Johnny. That means a lot.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
Johnny D.
I got a hot take, and look, at the risk of doing to Soderstrom what I did to Noda earlier when I had the hot take, he was about to go on a roll and he got optioned the next day. This hot take involves Soderstrom, and it starts tonight. His at-bats have been better. I think tonight he has a couple of knocks, and he proceeds to go on the best tear of his young career. He has not gone on a tear in his career. He got a little bit of a hot start when he started. This is Soderstrom's time, and this is his time. He's in the 5 slot. He's been playing a lot. He's going to get his rhythm, and we're going to see the Tyler Soderstrom we've been waiting for the last year and change. Soderstrom is about to go on a tear. That's my hot take.
Give me some time. Like what? How much time are we going here? Like the next 3 weeks?
The next 6 weeks, buddy. Next 6 weeks is going to be on a roll. Next 6 weeks. Yep. August 1st, you'll look at his average and say, wow, Doskow, that was a great hot take. Great hot take.
Great hot take. I like it. I like it.
Yep. What do you got, Tony?
I have nothing but bad. I think this is going to be really hard. Do you have taps?
I do.
Play it. I think it's going to be really hard for some people in our community, Johnny. We got a lot of guys around us that are these super analytics data guys who have just been in love with the Tampa Bay Rays for years. The Karate Kid who worked for him. I've watched the Commander fawn over him.
Our good friend Cashy.
We've had Kevin Cash on the program, all their broadcasters. But the Rays, as we know it, unfortunately are gone. They're no longer with us. They just were swept in a 4-game set at home by the Orioles, where they lollygagged around the field for 4 days. Booting the ball, no hustle. When you lollygag around the field, what does that make you, Cody?
A lollygagger?
A lollygagger. The Rays are on pace to win just 76 games. 23 games worse than last year. The team is 15 out in the AL East. They have the toughest remaining schedule. They've been outscored 25-7 after being swept in 4 straight by the Orioles. Only the A's and the White Sox have a worse run differential. Their bullpen, this has been their strength. They're 24th in baseball. The last time they were this low was 2007. The Rays are tied with the White Sox for the most home runs allowed. And Johnny, the Rays have hit the fewest home runs in baseball.
Wow.
The Rays, as we know it, tried to prolong this thing as long as they could. The A's normally realize when their time has come and they start to make the changes. They made the changes too late. The Rays are done, and the Rays are about to go into a rebuild. And that could cost some people their jobs. But the Rays, as we know it, as being a top team in the American League East, a playoff team, and a team that everybody goes, well, look at the Rays. Look at the money they spent. They went. Those days are over.
Wow.
The Rays, as we know it, are done.
You know what? That's a really hot take because I think a lot of people think it's just a temporary thing for the Rays, this thing. It's a temporary, little lapse. They're going to come back. So that's interesting, Towny. Wow.
They're done. Have you seen the way their players are playing? This isn't the team that does everything right.
Yeah.
That's when we talk about in-game. How do you play in-game? It's a great question. I've reworded this question. A lot of people have been asking, like, because everybody's trying to come up with, it's June, right? We're trying to come up with content. But this whole, like, are players better today? I've come up with the question. We know athletes are better today, right?
Yeah.
Football players are bigger, stronger. Everybody. The Olympics, every single year in the Olympics, records are broken. Athletes get better, right? Guys run faster, gals run faster, swim faster than they did in the 80s, the 90s. It's evolution of man. We know the athletes are better today, but the way I've reworded it, but are they better in-game players? We know baseball players are better athletes today because they've just gotten bigger, stronger, faster. We know how to take care of them better. Surgeries are better. But are they better in-game players? Do they play the game, get day to day, which I talk about on the post-game show all the time? Are they better in-game players? We know analytics and what they're striving to do to get paid, but from a standpoint of actually playing day to day, 162 games, are they better in-game players?
Yep.
It's a fair question.
It is. Very fair.
I can tell you right out of the gate, nobody can bunt. Nobody can bunt. What Rayleigh just got his fifth for the Rays, actually got his Mariners just got his fifth bunt. He leads them. I mean, no one bunts. We guys can't sacrifice. Joe from Monterey made a great point last night on the show where he goes, Towny, how many times do you see a guy get on base and he's on second base with nobody out and the inning ends and he's still on second base? They play the game differently because they're playing for numbers to get paid versus do they play to win the game? And to win the game, you got to throw the right places. You got to play defense, got to hit runners over. There's a certain way to play to win individual games. These guys are playing for numbers and money. So that's the question, is the way they play today. They may be better athletes, but do they actually play the game better?
Yeah, all you have to do is look at the extra inning games, Towny, where you have a runner on second. You start off with a runner on second, nobody. How many times do you see a team not score? An alarming amount, right? You have a runner on second, nobody out. You'd think get that runner to third, at least get the one run, right? But it just doesn't pan out a lot of times. So
it's a good one to chew. I don't want to ask you for the exact answer now. Just chew on it. When you're watching the game and you're seeing the fundamentals of the game.
Yeah.
Right? Like how many times we see guys not throw to the right. The little things, it's a linear game, right? You know, something that happens leads to something else. It leads to something else. It leads to something else, right? So if you don't throw to the right bases, if you don't do like little things right, they affect you and then big bad things happen. Right. I mean, so it's like Johnny, something I just don't tell your partner this, but you know how there's always, hey, you're in the big league, just a bit. Johnny, we're on pace to have over 1,000 pitchers this year in baseball.
Wow.
That means way more than half of the pitchers that will be in Major League Baseball this year pitched in the minor leagues this year. So when you think about, oh, these guys are big leaguers, most of the guys are going to toe the slab this year at some point, spent some time in the minor leagues.
Wow.
Johnny, last year we used 800 officially. We used 863 pitchers last year. And we're going to –
it's going to be 1,000 this year?
We're on pace for over 1,000 right now.
Wow.
We've used over – what is it now right now, 600 and something?
649 after last night.
649 pitchers have been used, and we're in June. And by the way, it's funny because I know how the old broadcasters act. They'll be like, well, you know, that's because of the bad teams. Oh, really? Do you know that the Dodgers, would you say the Dodgers are a good team, Johnny?
I'd say they're one of the best teams, yeah.
The Dodgers and the A's have used the same amount of pitchers. And by the way, that's 27. So, and another good team is right with them, the Milwaukee Brewers. 27 pitchers already. You're going to like my third inning hit, my friend.
I look forward to it.
Condolences to your buddy and his family. That's tough news.
Thanks,
all right,
buddy.
you do well. Talk to you in the third.
See you, buddy. See you guys.
Great Johnny D. Yeah, it was awful news. He told me about it this morning. But the Rays, I always praise them because how we watched them when they would show up, right? The Rays would show up, and they were the one team that no matter what, day, night, whatever, they would show up, take the batting cage, pull it back, and they would do infield defense. We get to see all this stuff, the stuff that the fans don't get to see. We get to, you know, far different than like the Dodgers. Everybody, like when the Dodgers show up, everybody's their shirts are all, they don't even have like regular warm-ups where everybody has like regular warm. Dodgers come out in all kinds of gear. Everybody's shirts are wide open, medallions, and they got all this. Look at me, I got the golf tan going. They got all this stuff going on. You know, you guys got torn shirts and they're in shorts and they're the Dodgers. They are swaggy swag, drippy drip, drippy drip, as Shooty Babbitt would say. Rays buttoned up. Everybody looks the same. Everybody goes out there. They take infield fundamentals.
I'll just see how they're doing tonight. Rays down 2-0 in the seventh to the Cubs.
Joe Madden, who helped build this Rays machine, Cup of Joe, as they call it on MLB Network, on MLB Now, you could see kind of his disgust. Like, they're showing him highlights of how the Rays have literally guys just not playing the way this team, for this team to be competitive in this division, there's a way they have to play. And now they're not playing that way. And things have just, if you really say, I mean, how many teams really have the, it used to be the Oriole way or the Dodger way. The A's always said they had their way. The Rays truly in modern day baseball had the Rays way to play defense. We're going to use a lot of different pitchers. We're going to utilize the minor leagues in AAA. We're going to move a lot of guys around, and we're not going to spend a lot of money. But our position players are always going to do the right thing. It's not happening. And it's showing up. It's showing up in everything that they do. And it's hard to believe because they were a model of what fundamentally playing the game the right way, which I just talked about. In game, how do you play? Don't beat yourself. Don't give the team other outs. Take 90 feet, guard 90 feet. That was the one thing Joe Madden said today on MLB Network was that was always their thing. We fight and we claw and we defend 90 feet. It's a mentality. I'm not giving you first base, but if you get to first base, I'm not giving you second. God knows I'm not giving you third, let alone home. We defend that 90 feet with our lives, men. That was how they used to play. And now you look at the Rays. They got hammered against the Orioles at home this weekend. Hammered. And what'd you say? They're already losing to the Atlanta Braves right now. Or the Chicago Cubs.
Craig Counsell and the Cubs, 2-0. Bigger news, Bill Moriarty's here.
They've given up the most home runs and hit the fewest.
But that was last year. They were one of the best teams at hitting home runs. If not, they were the best for the first couple months. Remember how good they were to start the year last year?
Well, let's bring on Bill. How are you?
Good. How you doing today, Towny?
I'm doing wonderful. You know what? Before we get into anybody specific, we're looking at where we are in June. You're looking at the minor league season. Guys are moving up. Guys are moving down. Just an overview. How do you think the A system's doing?
I think, as well as can be expected anyway. I mean, you have to be thrilled with the start that our top pick last year, Jacob Wilson, got off to. You have to be very excited about young 20-year-old Henry Bolte, sort of looking like the guy that we hoped Austin Beck would be when we made him a first-round pick a number of years ago. And there's a lot of lower draft picks from last year. I know you'll appreciate this, who are doing great. Our 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th round picks last year are all doing great at high A Lansing this year. And that's what you really need to see. You can't just count on those, first round guys. You need some of those other guys to hit as well. And the 12th through 15th picks of last year are looking as good as you could possibly hope in high A right now.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that you can draft players that are not first or second rounders that are later in the draft and they can get better and at some point play in the big leagues for you? You're saying that's allowed in the CBA?
Yeah, I think if you ask Max Schuemann about that, he might let you know a little something about that too. But yeah, and leave it to the A's to find a good way to draft quality players that you don't have to pay much. Those 12th through 15th round guys don't cost you a whole lot, but every one of them is doing great at Lansing. Catcher Cole Kahn was the 12th pick. He's got an OBP over 400 right now. You've got Will Johnston, the left-handed pitcher, has the best. I think he's striking out 12, averaging 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. You've got third baseman Luke Mann, who's got one of the best slugging percentages, slugging over 500, hitting around 290, I think, at Lansing. And then you've got first baseman Will Simpson, another guy who was the 15th round pick last year, and he's got an on-base percentage over 400. All those guys doing great in high A, low draft picks. Hopefully they can continue the success, through to Midland, either later this season or next season. And you can have another good crop of young guys that, you kind of got on the cheap that can make their way to the major league roster. Even if half of those guys hit, that's a hell of a lot better than most 12th through 15th rounders do.
Let's look no further than the Houston Astros, who went to Latin America and just sprinkled a bunch of money out, not big money, but just a money out there and said, hey, if some of these guys hit, well, some of them hit, and that became their rotation, and it worked really well. And that's what always takes me back, and I got into a fight with the great Shooty Babbitt this weekend over this, because these scouts just want to talk about tools. I'm like, how many times does a guy like Max Schuemann, let's just say there's a lot of Max Schuemanns out there. There's a lot of Max Schuemanns who are not high draft picks, who play well in minor league systems. They move their way up, but they never ever really get a shot because we are so worried about the guys we gave money and we got to look good. And how many max? I mean, and it's easy to say because Nick, also the producer, said, hey, I looked it up. There's not a lot of guys who left the A system and then became stars. But my whole point is, well, if they left the A system, they probably didn't get a shot anywhere else either. Like, it's like, how many Max Schuemanns do we miss? I'll give you one. A guy that we thought could hit, but how much did he really play was Max Muncy, the original Max Muncy.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many guys are underneath your nose that you have that your minor league coaches go, listen, this guy helps win games, and your front office goes, well, they don't have the tools that are good enough to play at this level, and Max Schumann's showing you as of right now he's good enough to play at this level.
Yeah, there's something to be said for heart, and a guy who has a real will to win. And I was kind of worried that Max Schuemann and Kyle McCann were never going to get to see the light of a major league stadium, and it's so gratifying to see that those guys have gotten a shot at the major leagues this year and shown what they're capable of doing, because they've been producing the last few years in the minor leagues. And you're right, if you're a first round draft pick, you get a lot of chances to show what you can do. You can struggle big time and still get plenty of chances. But if you're a lower draft pick, sometimes you can be one of the better hitting guys in the system, and they're still like, he was a 20th rounder. Yeah. You kind of carry that stigma with you. But it's great to see that some of those guys have been getting a chance with the A's this year. Hopefully, they're going to have some success with some later picks in these recent drafts. And hopefully they and maybe other organizations too will be a little more open to giving some of these guys who weren't first rounders, a decent shot at showing what they could do in the major league. Especially if you're a team that's not winning, why not give these guys a shot? Bring them up and see if the juices get going and they can carry it through. If they don't, great, fine, you can send it back down. But if they're producing in the minor leagues, why not give them a brief look anyway? And like Max Schuemann, give him a shot, see what he can do. Now suddenly he's the best hitting shortstop the A's have had in a long while. And if you hadn't given him that opportunity, you would never know that he's capable of that.
Man, I needed you with me over the weekend. They were hammering me. There, Shooty played in the big leagues. He's the super scout. Nick is the super producer over at NBC. I'm just the idiot that takes phone calls after the game. They're firing at me. I needed you, Bill. I needed you. My point is, it's what I'm going off what my general manager told me. Tools get you to the big leagues. Skills keep you here. So if we know skills work in the big leagues, it's a game of skill. You draft guys, coach them up. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, stop telling me you drafted a guy out of college, you drafted him out of high school. Okay, great. Wherever you draft it. But all of a sudden, we're now going to put these kids in games. Why are our guys that we're not coaching, coach them up so they have the skills? Because obviously these kids have talent, hand-eye coordination, throw hard, can spin it. You wouldn't draft them if they didn't have something. Get these. Let's see what these guys have. No one would have ever said, looking at Max Schuemann, well, you know what? Got to get him to the big leagues. But since you gave him a chance, his stats in the minor leagues didn't say you had to get him there, but you gave him a chance, and he's showing you he has the skills to play at this level.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's you mentioned a word there, like coaching these guys. Coachability is a big thing. You might have a guy with great tools, but he doesn't want to listen to anything anybody ever has to say to him. He thinks, I've got great tools. I can do what I've always done and get by, which doesn't usually work. Sometimes a guy with fewer tools who's willing to listen, who's willing to adapt, who's willing to make adjustments can turn out to be a much more productive player than a guy who's really, really all full of tools, who thinks he's got everything and doesn't need to listen to anyone. I think Max Schumann's one of those guys that, he realized he didn't have the loudest tools, and he was willing to listen and learn and adapt and adjust. And that got him a lot farther than, a first round guy like Austin Beck.
Now, Abraham Toro, who you can argue has been the best all-around everyday player for the A's this year. You're not looking at the skills going great defender, speed burner, great arm. You're not looking at the tools. I'm looking at the production and the skills.
Yeah, and the other thing is, maybe if you're a World Series contending team, you're a little more careful about, who you're giving at bats to. But if you're not a World Series contending team, you're in a perfect position to take a look at any and all of these guys that are showing what they can do and putting up numbers in the minor leagues. Why not give them a shot? Why not give that Max Schuemann a look? See if he can take it and run with it. If he doesn't, fine. Send him back down. But give him a shot, give him a look. Why not? There's nothing to lose when you're sort of in this position. Take a look at these guys, see what you've got, give them a chance. Some guys are going to take it and run with it, and then you've really got something there. And Shooty Babbitt, but by the way, ought to know that it's not like he was, a $1 billion draft pick. So he ought to be advocating for those guys too.
I needed you on my side. It was 2-on-1 this week, and I was fighting them off. So, all right. Happy birthday to Max Schuemann, by the way, 27 years old today. It's funny that we mention about, the best teams versus the worst teams. Most pitchers used in Major League Baseball right now. Did you know that the A's have used the most pitchers this year?
I did not know that. And, certainly through April, they hadn't used anything but their starting 13, and now things can change so quickly. And that's why you need depth. You need to have that AAA rotation literally full of guys that you are ready to plug into Major League level. Because as you know, somewhere in the season, you're going to need every single last one of those guys and maybe more.
And the reason why I bring that up to you, Bill, because people would say, well, yeah, because the A's aren't very good. Oh, really? The A's have used 27 pitchers this year, the most in baseball. They are tied with the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Milwaukee Brewers, two of the best teams in baseball. And, oh, yeah, fourth on that list is one of the other best teams in baseball who has used 24 different pitchers. That would be the New York Yankees. This is everybody. There's nobody. We're averaging right now, to blow your mind, we're on pace to use over 1,000 pitchers in Major League Baseball this year to absolutely blow away last year's 863, which was the record. So needing prospects, needing guys. Yeah. But I want to start this out, individual players. I love me some Henry Bolte. I've loved him since the moment I laid eyes on him. And right now, Henry Bolte, he in the Midwest League playing for Lansing, he is leading the Midwest League, 49 runs. His runs, total bases, triples, doubles lead the league. He's second in the league in hits, RBIs, extra base hits. I know on your website right now, you've got the minor league stat leaders from June 10th. He's leading everything. Just tell the world, this kid's coming. He's special.
Well, like I said, Henry Bolte was a second-round pick in 2022. He's still just 20 years old. And as I said, I think he's becoming the kind of player you'd hoped a number one pick like Austin Beck would have become, a guy coming out of high school, out of Palo Alto High, by the way. And he's leading all A's minor leaguers in hits, runs. He's tied for the lead in triples. He's played 55 out of 57 games for Lansing, so he's healthy, he's durable, he's ready to go out there and play and swing the bat, and he's also got speed. He's second in the A's system in stolen bases right now and second in extra base hits too. So a guy that can rack up extra base hits and stolen bases, that's a pretty rare commodity in today's game. He's got that really lethal combination of speed and power. Also this season, he's been playing center field more than any other position in the outfield. Last year, he played more right. This year, they've been putting him in center. He's been doing a pretty good job out there as well. So imagine a guy, just 20 years old and high A, 6'3", speed, power, can play center field, seems to have a good attitude, good approach, is coachable apparently. I don't know what more you could ask for or hope for from Henry Bolte at this point. Again, there aren't a lot of 20-year-olds in the high A Midwest League right now. So not only is he doing great in that league, but he's doing great in that league at a really young age as well. So, I think there's plenty to be excited about Henry Bolte at this point. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you can't stress enough, this kid is built like in between like a free safety and a linebacker. He is built. He is an athlete. It is impressive. Colby Thomas, once again, not a first or second round pick. He's a third round pick. I need the third, the fourth, the fifth guys coming. When are we going to see him?
Well, he doesn't look to be that far away right now. Colby Thomas has just been dominant at Double-A Midland. He's been the best power hitter in the system this year. He's leading the A's system in home runs, extra base hits, total bases, RBIs. He's tied for the most doubles in the system. He's just been dominating in Midland. And the Texas League tends to be a little more of a pitcher-friendly league. So he's putting up really big numbers in a league that's not ideally suited to hitters. So Colby Thomas has put up basically, we're a little more than 40% into the minor league season. So we're almost at the halfway point. He's certainly done enough to merit a promotion. Wow. Usually that happens towards the end of June is when they'll start promoting guys to the next level to put up a good first half. So I'm hoping that by the end of June, we're going to see Colby Thomas maybe getting a shot to show what he can do in the friendly confines of the Las Vegas ballpark. He could really put up some monster numbers there. Of course, the thing I know you don't want to hear that people say is he doesn't walk enough. But
I swear to God, I will start throwing stuff at this camera if you say that.
I was just mentioning what
take
people
those
say.
walks and shove it. This is a split-minute game. I have the numbers to back it up. This is not the late 90s, early 2000s. Right now, it is proven that when it is hard to score runs, which it is in Major League Baseball right now, slugging percentage is far more important than on-base percentage.
Yeah, so I think we will be satisfied with Colby Thomas leading the system in home runs and extra base hits and total bases, even if he's not taking all the walks you might like. That we'll take that. So anyway, he's really just been dominant in the first half here in Double-A Midland. So we're hoping he gets a chance to get up to Vegas, see what he can do there, and if he can take advantage of that small ballpark in Vegas and do what he's done in Midland, then he's just a phone call away from Oakland. So I think of all the minor league prospects who've really been doing well in the first half, he might be the closest to being a guy that we could see make an impact in Oakland in the near future.
All right, give me some pitching down in Midland. What are you liking down in Midland? I mean, these truly are. I mean, we got guys in AAA are going to come up, but I mean, we're talking about the future. Like, we got guys in Midland.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I think the guy to be most excited about down in Midland is Gunnar Hoagland. He basically was injured ever since the A's acquired him, had hardly pitched at all. This season, Gunnar Hoagland is currently leading all A's minor leaguers in innings pitched. He's leading all A's minor leaguers in strikeouts, and he's leading all A's minor leaguers in wins, which is a statistic nobody talks about anymore. But it means you've been out there on the mound pitching deep into games to have that, which is a good sign too. So to see Gunnar Hoagland healthy, pitching well, he's got an ERA of about 3.5, racking up the strikeouts, taking every turn, pitching deeper into games than most guys are. So I think that's pretty exciting. I'm hoping that they're going to push him to Vegas in the second half. As we know, Vegas can be a bit of a challenge for pitchers, but I'm hoping they push him there in the second half, because if he can get to Vegas, then again, he's not far away from having a chance to make an impact in the major leagues. And I know we don't normally like to talk about relievers, but one guy that's been a real standout is Grant Holman out of Cal, who the A's drafted a couple years ago, I think in the 6th round. He has not given up a run, an earned run or an unearned run all season pitching out of the bullpen. He was in Midland. He recently got promoted to Vegas. I think he's pitched 21 scoreless innings this season, yet to give up a run. We're into June. He's got 6 saves, 21 scoreless innings pitched, racking up a lot of strikeouts. Command can be a bit of an issue. He does walk a few too many guys, but not insane, not an insane amount. So Grant Holman's now in Vegas, 21 scoreless innings this season, 6 saves. He could be an arm that could help the A's bullpen in the near future too.
My old pitching coach called that effectively wild when you're able to. What does he throw?
I mean, Grant Holman, he has a number of pitches he throws, but he's kind of scaled things back now that he's pitching out of the bullpen easily. So now he can throw the fastball a little more. Doesn't have to worry about a changeup quite so much. If you've got a couple of great or even very good pitches, it makes it so much easier. So many of these guys in the minors, they have such trouble with the changeup, and they don't want to throw it because they've never thrown it before and they're scared it's going to get hit. And so if you're a starter and you can't develop that changeup, or you're scared to throw it, you're better off throwing out of the bullpen. And Grant Holman's been throwing really well this year. Again, I think he was a 6th round pick out of Cal a couple of years ago. He's got tools, he's got stuff. I mean, command is the only issue, but again, his command isn't that far off. So, I think he's a guy that could be. It's interesting that Henry Bolte and Grant Holman both kind of guys with Bay Area ties too. So it's always a little extra fun to see those guys if they can make it into Oakland with their Bay Area ties.
No doubt. Wilson's still on the IL. Is Muncy still on? Max Muncy?
Yes.
2.0. So both the guys that were like clamoring to see are both on the IL.
Yeah, unfortunately, sort of every shortstop we had at the higher levels of the system is on the IL. Not only Jacob Wilson and Max Muncy, but also former first-round draft pick Logan Davidson, who had started hitting really well at Vegas too, with Wilson and Muncy out. He's on the IL as well. So Nick Allen's pretty much been playing every day down there at Vegas, and of course, hitting around 400 as he is wont to do at AAA. But yeah, those guys are all on the IL. I mean, I'm not sure when we can expect him back. I was originally told that, Wilson's got a knee issue. Muncy's got a hand issue. I was told they weren't that big a deal, but then, they seem to be bigger than was originally anticipated. But I'm still being told they're not, major issues. But we'll see. They've both been out around a month now. So, they have missed some significant time. Wilson was leading all A's minor leaguers in batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, everything when he went on the IL. So it'd be great for him to get back and be able to pick up where he left off. But I haven't been given any guidance on when that will be. But I've been told that those guys should be back at some point this season anyway.
I was laughed at this weekend when I said, you know what? Why not just? I know Logan Davidson's on the 40-man anymore, but I was like, why not? I was laughed at. Should I have been? Where are you? Logan Davidson, you drafted him number 1 out of Clemson. You got him in AAA. Where are you? Is it crazy to say at some point, man, just see, kind of Max Schuemann, bring him up and see?
Yeah, why not? I mean, he has struggled, through a lot of his time since being drafted. And the A's had moved him off as shortstop. He was playing a lot of first base, which I know, he was probably not that thrilled about, being a lifelong shortstop. And when Wilson and Muncy went down and Davidson was able to play shortstop every day at Vegas, suddenly he took off. He just started hitting like crazy, got his average up over 300, suddenly started to look like the player that we drafted as a first rounder, So it looked like he was getting his swing back, getting his confidence back. At that point, I'd say, hey, he's on a roll. Why not, bring him up and give him a shot and see what he could do. Unfortunately, then he went on the IL. So, that put an end to that conversation for the time being. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see, why not, give Logan Davidson a chance and see if he gets on a roll at AAA and he seems hot and he's got confidence, bring him up, see if he can carry it through. If he can, wow, great. You finally turned that first rounder into something. But if he doesn't, okay, you put him back down to Vegas and, see if he can get it going again. Why not? Again, it's not like we're, on the road to the World Series here and we have to be very careful who we're giving all our at-bats to. Great time to see what these guys can do. I think, you played ball. Confidence is such a big thing. When you're playing with confidence, it makes all the difference in the world. So if I see a guy at AAA who seems like he's feeling it, he's believing in himself, he's playing with confidence, that's when I want to bring that guy up and see what he can do. Even if he's a little overmatched, if he's confident, he might be able to make something happen. That's when you want to bring a guy up and give him a shot and see if they can carry that confidence through. If they can, great. If they don't, okay, well, you gave it a shot. What's there to lose?
Now, I'm just going to let everybody know that you put stuff out on Twitter before our PR puts it out. I'll be like, well, Moriarty's already saying this has happened. I'm just saying. This guy on the screen right here knows stuff before everybody else does. Follow him on Twitter, athleticsfarm.com. You want to know what's going on with the A's system. And like Cody, I know Cody's told you, we got to, if you have time, we'd like to do this a lot more, keeping everybody up to date because our farm system is so critical to what's happening in the next few years.
Sure. I'm always happy to talk to you about prospects any day of the week, Towny. And, as we know, we at this stage of the game, you're going to see a lot of these guys in Oakland before the season is through. Probably in the second half, you'll be seeing even more of these guys. And next year, you'll see another batch of them. So it's good to know what's going on down at the farm at this stage of the game.
Great stuff. Be well.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Talking about having your finger on the pulse. All right. We want to thank – we didn't play Zito. We don't have time. Do we have time?
We could play going out. Then I can go to commercial.
All right. Barry Zito's going to take you out. We had David Feldman, our top 10 big three. We had our hot takes. Sorry, your Rays are done. As
okay.
you know them.
Well, hey,
You might want to go back to the Devil Rays.
if JP Sears has a complete game today, you heard it here first.
I did. Your hot take was fabulous. And then Bill, of course, was great. Coming up next, we got Padres, we got A's, we got game 2 of the 3-game set from Petco Park. We'll get you ready for that. Part 2 of Mark Mulder, right?
Correct.
Mulder was fabulous yesterday. That was a great get. But on the way out, here's Barry Zito talking to you, the fans.
What's up, Oakland A's fans? It's Barry Zito. I got to say, I'm so sorry I can't be with you on this Alumni Sunday today, and that includes you, Huddy, Mulder, and Ramon. You guys actually caught me on a family vacation, and I'm really sorry. Like I said, I hope I can be there sometime this year. I know we got some more Alumni Sundays coming up, so I'm going to work my butt off to get out there for you guys and to hang. I got a couple memories of the Coliseum. The first one's a personal memory. My Major League debut, which was in July of 2000. I came up kind of wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. I'd watched Huddy on the TV screen the night before from the Airport Hilton. He had a tough start against the Angels. He took a line drive right back at his face, and I was terrified. Honestly, I was like, okay, Huddy's not getting him out. I don't know if I can. The Magic League just kind of went out there, threw pretty good, got a lot of runs. Ben Grieve hit a grand slam to center field that day, one of the longest balls I've ever seen hit in the Coliseum, actually, since. And I was able to get out of a bases-loaded jam. So I'll never forget the ovation you guys gave me that day, and it really propelled me and made me feel connected to you guys from the start. On a team level, this is very cliche, but the 20-game win streak was just incredible. There was a few times we almost lost, whether it was, having someone have a bad start or whether, a hitter was striking out in a big situation. But it was just exemplary of how we would pick each other up as a team that year. And I got to say, my 7 years in Oakland are just the most incredible memories, all on that field out there. I just feel so at home. Even when I went to the Giants, you guys can boo now. Boo. Okay, cool. And I came back, I still felt like I was at home. And so the Coliseum, you guys, is something I'm going to miss dearly, and I'm going to miss you guys, and I always have since I've been there. Take care, y'all.
This is Chris Townsend. I'm proud to announce our year 2 partnership with Link Soul. They've changed my wardrobe, and they can do the same for you. And right now, their spring collection is fabulous. Natural fabrics and versatile styles, perfect for this time of the year. And they want to introduce their performance line for golf, premium for on-course apparel design, and to keep you cool and dry. Check it all out, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com. Remember, look good, play good.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
This has been a presentation of the Oakland Athletics.